My name is Celine Ward, and I was 19 when the truth in our house cracked open like glass under a hammer. It began with my mother collapsing in the kitchen, hands shaking, chest tight, breath barely holding. The ambulance lights painted the walls red while my father stood there, arms crossed, like he was annoyed by the inconvenience. At the hospital, my mother lay pale and weak on the bed, tubes running across her arms. I held her hand, praying she'd open her eyes. That's when my father walked in. Not worried, not guilty, just irritated. He leaned down and whispered, "Nothing's wrong, your mom is just acting. Stop being a clueless kid and go welcome your new mother." My breath stopped. New mother. Those were the words he chose while his wife was barely conscious. He didn't even wait for my response. He turned on his heel and left, calling someone on the phone. I caught one name in the doorway. My aunt. My mother's sister. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stayed silent. Because silence was the only power I had left. Years later, after destroying our family, he returned, demanding I raise the children he'd had with her. And that was the moment he learned. The quiet ones remember everything. And I was done being silent. My father always mistook my silence for obedience. He didn't realize silence can turn into memory, and memory can sharpen into purpose. When my mother finally woke in the hospital, her voice was barely a whisper. "Celine, don't leave me." I promised her I wouldn't, but she didn't know the storm waiting outside her room. Because in the hallway, my aunt, the woman who used to braid my hair, who laughed with my mom over tea, was leaning against the wall, wearing my mother's scarf. The one mom wore the day she collapsed. My father stood beside her, fixing her collar like she already belonged to him.
She smiled at me.
"You'll understand when you're older." I walked past them without a word. Silence again, my only shield. My mother lost everything that week. Her health, her marriage, her sister, and part of herself. She never fully recovered. But I stayed. I helped her walk again, helped her breathe again, helped her believe she wasn't worthless the way my father claimed. Years passed. Their affair turned into a marriage, then into kids, then into chaos. And one afternoon, my father called me, as if nothing had happened. "Celine, your stepmother and I are busy. Come take care of the kids." He said it like I owed him, like betrayal had an expiration date. But what he didn't know was that for years, I had been quietly building a future stronger than anything he ever controlled. And now he was finally going to see it. He showed up at my apartment unannounced, the same knock he used when I was a child, the one that used to make me flinch. I opened the door just enough to see his face. Older, tired, but still carrying the same entitlement in his eyes. "Celine," he said like my name belonged to him. "Your siblings need discipline. Their mother is overwhelmed. Pack your things, you're coming with me." Not a request, a command. Behind him, two little kids waited in the hallway, my father's new family, the children created from the affair that shattered ours. They looked scared, unsure, already carrying the weight of adults. I crouched down to their level. "Did he tell you why you're here?" They shook their heads. My father snapped, "Don't confuse them. Just get your bag." I stood, blocking the doorway. "I don't owe you anything." His jaw tightened. "I gave you life." I almost laughed. "And you destroyed the person who gave it meaning." He tried to push past me, but I didn't move. Because behind me was the life I built, a life where I didn't live under his shadow.
A degree.
A stable job. A home built with my own hands, not his money. He looked inside, realizing for the first time that I had risen without him. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "If you don't take them, you'll regret it." But he didn't know the truth. I had been waiting years to show him what regret really looked like. I stepped outside and closed the apartment door behind me, not to let him in, but to make sure the kids didn't hear what was coming. My father crossed his arms. "Your mother raised you soft. That's why you don't understand responsibility." I stared at the man who abandoned us, who left my mother shattered, who treated betrayal like a lifestyle. "Responsibility," I said quietly. You mean the kind you ran from when Mom collapsed on the kitchen floor? His face twitched, the first crack in his confidence. My aunt approached then, holding her coat tight, eyes darting. She never looked me in the eyes anymore. Maybe guilt has a weight. Celine, please, she murmured. We just need help. Help. From the daughter they threw away. The two kids, small, quiet, confused, watched us like they were standing at the edge of a storm. I knelt again, brushing the girl's hair gently. It's not your fault, I whispered. None of this is. But when I stood, the softness ended. I faced my father. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. You chose your family the day you betrayed my mother. Raise them yourself. He stepped closer. You'll come crawling back, Celine. You always do. Not anymore. Because he didn't know the life I'd built, or the power I now held. A power he was about to see in a way he'd never expected. He followed me down the apartment walkway, his footsteps sharp and angry against the concrete. The kids trailed behind him quietly, their small hands gripping each other. My aunt stayed near the car, avoiding my eyes like the truth was too bright to look at. Celine, my father snapped, stop acting high and mighty. You owe this family. I turned slowly. Which family? My voice was soft, but it hit him harder than shouting ever could. The one you built by destroying the first? His jaw clenched. Your mother was weak. She couldn't handle the truth. The truth. That word tasted like poison in my mouth. My mom spent months recovering physically, mentally, emotionally, while he played house with my aunt. I worked nights, cared for her, helped her breathe through panic attacks he caused while he rewrote history to make himself the victim. I took a quiet breath. I don't owe you children, I said. And I don't owe you forgiveness. His voice dropped dangerously. You want to play independent?
Fine.
But don't forget, I know where you work. I smiled. That was the moment I'd waited for. Because he didn't know that the company I worked for had recently changed ownership. He didn't know the new legal restructuring. He didn't know the new board rules. He didn't know that after years of silence, I finally had the power to expose everything he'd buried. And tomorrow, he was going to walk into a meeting that would shatter his world. The next morning, he barged into the building where I worked, the same place he thought I was lucky to be hired. He didn't know I wasn't just an employee anymore. Because 3 weeks earlier, during a company restructuring, I had been promoted into a position he never imagined someone like me could earn. Compliance and ethics oversight. A department with the authority to review employee conduct, including his. He marched through the lobby with the confidence of someone who believed the world still bent for him. My aunt trailed behind, flustered, dragging the kids along. Where's Celine? He barked at the receptionist. The receptionist glanced at me, standing a few steps behind him, and her expression softened. Right there, sir. He spun around. I stood still, calm, clipboard in hand. What is this? He demanded. You work in HR now or something? I met his eyes without fear. I oversee internal investigations. His face fell, just slightly but enough. I held out a file. He didn't take it, so I placed it on the counter. Inside were documents, financial records, timeline inconsistencies, reports of workplace misconduct from employees he'd terrified for years. He paled. You can't be serious. I leaned in just a little. Dad, you taught me silence. You taught me watching. You taught me endurance. I paused. But you never taught me what to do once I had evidence. His throat tightened, because for the first time in his life, I wasn't the child he could control. I was the woman who finally had the truth and the authority to weaponize it. He grabbed the file with a jerky motion, flipping through the pages like he expected the words to rearrange themselves into something harmless. But every line, every signature, every timestamp was a mirror, reflecting years of manipulation, intimidation, and misconduct he thought no one noticed. My aunt's voice trembled. Celine, please don't do this. We have kids. We'll lose everything. I looked at the children, innocent, wide-eyed, gripping each other's hands. They didn't deserve this. But they also didn't deserve the man who raised them. My father slammed the file shut. You think you can ruin me? I'm untouchable in this company. I exhaled slowly. Not anymore. The elevator dinged. Two executives stepped out, the new CEO and the head of legal. Both walked straight toward me. The CEO nodded. Ms. Ward, we're ready. My father blinked. Ms. Ward. The head of legal extended a folder to him. Mr. Ward, you're required in the conference room for a formal inquiry. Effective immediately. My father's jaw dropped. He looked at me, disbelief cracking into fear. You did this, he whispered. No, I corrected softly. You did this. I just stopped covering for you. Security approached. My aunt started crying. My father stepped backward as if the floor was collapsing beneath him. And the truth was,
It was.
because the next room, the room he was being escorted into, held the final revelation. The one that would end everything. He walked into the conference room like a man marching toward his own verdict. The executives sat in a straight line, folders open, screens glowing with documents he never thought anyone would see again. Security closed the door behind him. My father tried to reclaim his old arrogance. This is unnecessary. I've served this company for years. The CEO folded his hands. And in those years, you forged documents, redirected funds, intimidated staff, and violated ethics protocols repeatedly. My father's face collapsed. The head of legal slid a final document across the table. This file was submitted by Ms. Ward. He turned toward me, disbelief shaking his voice. You turned on your own father? I met his eyes, calm, steady, unbroken. You stopped being a father the day you destroyed our family.
The door opened again.
And my mother stepped inside. Weak but standing. Her hands trembled, yet her eyes were stronger than I'd seen in years. My father froze. You came here? My mother nodded. To witness the truth. The CEO spoke firmly. Effective immediately, you are terminated. A criminal investigation will follow. My father's knees nearly buckled. My aunt broke down completely. The kids clung to each other, silent witnesses to the fall of the man who pretended to lead them. I walked forward, placing the final file in front of him, the one detailing every lie he told about my mother. This is my revenge, I whispered. Not cruelty. Accountability. He looked shattered. I took my mother's hand. As we walked out together, I finally felt the weight lift, years of silence dissolving into something new. Freedom.